Someday, someday the Warhammer cards will come to Magic Online. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. And a while back, Clemens asked me to build a Gryson Starn Kellermorph Legacy deck with the idea that we would abuse some powerful cards like Orcish Bowmasters and double their damage, and it would be a good time. However, well, the cards aren't on Magic Online, and we have no timeline for them coming to Magic Online. So Clemens has given up on that idea and asked me to do something else. Now, a number of times on this channel, we've popped off with Exsanguinator Cavalry. This is a card that can singularly spiral a game, and when in multiples, it can just honestly be downright disgusting. It was very solid in a mono-black shell. When we leaned into it a little bit more with Knights last time around, I think we missed. But today we're going to try it in a Mardu build and see whether or not that's better or worse. If you are a cube enthusiast, you maybe have seen Inti take over some games. It's a very powerful card. Whenever you attack, you can discard a card. When you do, you put a +1/+1 counter on target attacking creature, gains trample until the end of turn. And when you discard one of those cards, exile the top card of your library. You can play that card until your next end step. So this is a way to spiral a game out of control if your opponent does not have removal for it, and it's a way to kind of loot your your worst cards into better cards. And you gain some value here, right? Like you get the +1/+1 counter and the trample, and then you kind of convert your card as well. So this maybe or maybe not will hold up in Legacy in like a Swords to Plowshares, Lightning Bolt power level removal format, but I've seen this card be very scary in lower power formats. One thing that I do want to address before I actually go to the deck tech here is 4th Aerlingas. I think on the surface, this looks like it's going to be very good with Exsanguinator Cavalry, but I think in reality, they don't really belong in the same deck. Because if you are trying to play like a Knights deck, a Knight creature type deck, I think a lot of times the mana is not going to work out for you to cast true red, true white pip spells, because I think you're going to end up on a lot of those Cavern of Souls type lands, maybe ending up with some number of wastelands. So I think this is one of those things that actually ends up being a trap, despite this being like the most powerful Knight producing card in all of Legacy. So that's kind of where my head's at here. Today's video is sponsored by IntoTheAM.com, and they are having a site-wide anniversary sale until February 7th, so you'll have 3 days after this airs if you want to get some awesome t-shirts. They have some basic ones like you're seeing in the ad here, but I am a really big fan of their graphic tees, and no exaggeration, probably half of my closet is full of them at this point. So check out the link down in the video description and use promo code ThrabenU to save an additional 10% on your order on top of the 25% off site-wide sale. So my core build here that I've adjusted comes from Ricky Maru at Marosh06 on Twitter, who is a Japanese deck builder who has played or built a handful of the things that I've ended up playing on this channel. The idea is pretty simple. Play a decent number of Knights, some of which are going to be a little bit below the average power level of Legacy, but then we are going to pay them off with cards like Exsanguinator Cavalry to put +1/+1 counters on them, or Knight Exemplar to make them indestructible. P.S. 2 Knight Exemplars makes the Knight Exemplars themselves indestructible, and has been the scourge of many a casual table. And we have seen Ayara's Oathsworn be, or maybe not insane, but respectable in Legacy in other decks. I think one of the problems here is that a lot of these knights end up being X1s in the Orcish Bowmaster world. I think that's gonna just kind of be something that we're gonna have to eat some portion of the time. And the payoff for doing so is that, hey, sometimes we are just going to have like some menace double striking creatures with 2+1/+1 counters on them, and it'll just be absolutely disgusting. We also have a Knight Oblivion Ring effect in the form of Werefox Bodyguard that can let us nuke some non-fox creatures. As long as our opponents aren't playing foxes in Legacy, we're ready to remove it. Looking at the mana base here, again, we are focusing on the Knight creature type, which means I don't actually have that many true colored pips in this deck. And if you kind of take a quick look at the sideboard here, I'm not casting these. This is one colorless mana with some flexibility. This is a pitch card. This is a colorless card. These are knights that I can use to blow up artifacts and enchantments. So we are a 3-color deck that actually wouldn't be very good at casting very many spells. Now, for you Universes Beyond haters, this next one is for you. The original deck list had Lucille in it, which is from the Walking Dead set. So this is an equipment that gives the equipped creature +2/+0 and menace. When it attacks, defending player sacks a creature, and if they do, you create a walker token, which I believe is just a zombie token with a different name. And the idea of playing that is that Fervent Champion can greatly reduce the cost of actually activating that. This can be turn 1 Fervent Champion and turn 2 or 3 play and equip Lucille. So that's kind of what's going on there. So the question at the end of the day is going to be like, is this going to be strong enough to steal some wins in Legacy? Generally speaking, I'm of the opinion right now that Aether Vial is close to the worst that it's ever been in Legacy since I've started playing. The fair decks with Namesticker Goblin or Initiative creatures are just going to be much faster than you, and the control decks are better than ever at answering permanents and grinding you out. Up the Beanstalk is an incredibly potent engine. So we'll kind of see how this shakes out. We're gonna be really soft to combo in game 1. We're not playing Thalias and Thorns and Chalices and all that stuff. Like, we are the beatdown. Like, 33 creatures get in the red zone, reduce the opponent's life total to 0, and we'll see how viable this ends up being. If you like what you see today and you need to pick up any cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your next order. Let's battle. Okay. I'm still composing myself. I hit a very funny TikTok right before I got paired for this round, and I don't know that I'm ever going to recover from it. I've got to send that to some people as soon as I'm done recording this round. You don't get to know what it is, though. That's a secret. I guess playing Cavern of Souls was strictly better there. Not punished. Bash on in. Opponent will take 1. Notably, this land can be used to cast equipment spells. Nice. So this is 3 less to activate. This is 4 to activate. So next turn I will play and equip this, and I'll just like flash this in at the end of my opponent's turn. Sounds good. Cavernon Knight. Opponent's at 18. We're doing okay. We'll see what my opponent is playing. 8 cast? No, okay. So we are probably playing against like the One Ring transmute artifact coveted jewel pile of some kind. In which case the sacrifice here is not going to be super relevant. Okay. Alright, the good news is I get 1 more turn. The bad news is that my opponent probably ends up comboing off next turn. So I can play this. This gets +2 power immediately. Man, this is an if they do. Don't even get my 2/2. Man. Alright, I think I don't do this then. I think I'll save this for another turn. I'll make my knight, bash in for 4, or 5 after my Fervent Champion trigger. But Paradox Engine is going to eat me alive here. So my opponent... Okay, that doesn't do much. That's just more mana. My opponent needs a draw engine, at which point I probably just concede. Yeah, so this is miserable. My opponent can now tap the One Ring, draw a card, make like 12 mana, untap their stuff, and I'm going to assume that this results in me being dead in some capacity. I don't think that's quite how you want to handle that situation, but okay. And I'm just going to update you when I am effectively dead, because my opponent just gets to do a whole bunch of draws and string it together, and it's just not fun. Okay, my opponent has produced an Emrakul. I am fine conceding to an Emrakul. So, Jitte bad, Lucille bad, Null Rod's good, Artifact, Destruction, fine. I'd probably just junk my 4-drop here. I could drop Vials since I am playing 3 Null Rods. A little weird to kind of pair those side by side, but I think it is correct to do so. Like, I think my deck just needs that. What are we doing? 2 mana, not anything I think that's fast enough. I really want a Null Rod hand. This is a Null Rod hand. I'll keep this one, getting rid of Aether Vial. Put this on Knight. Get in there for 1. Hope Null Rod resolves. If it does, not like we literally just moved to game 3, but it's pretty close. All right. Do you have a way to answer this immediately? Nope. Game's not over, but Null Rod is incredibly good. Thought-Knot Seer, sure. That slows me down. But like, this is a menace creature. This is something that will give my stuff indestructible. I'm ultimately okay with this. This is a menace creature, and we'll call it a turn. Now, my opponent could just like play Thought-Knot Seers into some Worm Coil Engines or something, and that's probably good enough to make me scoop. But, sure. Yeah, I'll take that hit. I'm at 16. Yeah, this is actually quite awkward for me right now. I think I am now on the defensive, rather than trying to scale this up and tutor or whatever. I think it's different once the Lodestone Golem is out of play. Are you going to Ottawa? No. Copy Artifact, so just another Lodestone? That's rough. So I probably have to trade for this, and then draw another land to stay competitive. So this is now legendary. I can bounce it with Caracas. But I think I am just going to be trading spells here. It's sort of unfortunate that we have stopped the combo side, and we might just lose to beatdown, even though we are the creature deck here. So I do the double block again. Take 4, I go to 7. I can play Exsanguinator Cavalry and try to stabilize from there. Oh, that's not bad. What is the exact reading on this? On that creature. Got it. So I go to 2. Oh no. That's rough. I really needed this second creature. Yeah, so I can chump block and be dead. I guess I can take a draw here. I'm not sure what I'm drawing towards. Yeah. Now, if that was my draw for turn, it's totally different. But I am dead. GG.
Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I personally keep all of my deck lists for every format on this site. I love that I can go and sort them by types and tags if I need to. There's a lot of different viewing options. It can give you some math about your mana symbol, your curve, and you can even playtest and do sample opening hands with it. Check this site out if you haven't before. It's awesome.
Okay, so how good is this? So I could do this on turn 1, turn 2 attack with both these creatures, or just like this on turn 1, this on turn 2, this on turn 3. This is a little fair for a legacy hand. I think I'm going to try keeping it to see how it feels. I go for the menace creature here. I think I just want to have 2 menace creatures in play ASAP. Oh, shit, okay. Well, basically thinks I hate it. We're not attacking anymore. We are gonna chill. And the hope is that the Indestructible is not actually that good against Infect. Because the Infect creatures deal damage in the form of -1/-1 counters, which don't say, fuck! This is so good here. Oh no. So I can double block. My opponent turns this into a 2/3. This is essentially trading this for this on the surface. This doesn't work, but I think I have to just fire off blocks and make my opponent use resources. That is an Embiggen. So my opponent trades Embiggen for 2 of my creatures, which is not the greatest. Alright, so this goes on Knight. Ugh. Play my expensive card here with the hope of doing multiple spells in the future. This is just not good. My creatures are small. My removal's not particularly strong. I'm going to let this one through and hope I don't die. I only have 4 removal spells in the whole deck. I think I'm going to try to take 1 hit and then vomit a bunch of stuff on the board and hope it's good. Pendelhaven messes with blocking math so badly. Alright. I get to make 2 first strike creatures. And they are 2/2 first strikers, so that is worth something. They are also indestructible. I'm holding everybody back. And we'll see. I think it's so easy for my opponent to just kind of wiggle around what I'm doing, though. Drop rotation. Okay, for an Ink Moth. Sure. I might just die in the air here. Yep. So we have Invigorates to worry about right now. There's 1. This is 6 points of Infect. A second one kills me. I need a Werefox Bodyguard. Well, there we go. So I play this. Last turn. Kinda still think I need everything back. Like, death is very real right now. Yes. You just tapped Inkmoth to do that. Oh, I see. Split second? Yeah. So this is hexproof now, so I can't do this. That sucks. This is why we have dismembers. So in good news, my equipment like Lucille and Jitte will actively be good here, assuming that the game does reach that point. I would like these 3 dismembers. I will probably just sideboard out my slowest creatures. This can only be activated at sorcery speed, which is super unfortunate for Inkmoth Nexus in particular. And this kind of misses that as well at sorcery speed. They could Force of Despair, but that's not really for this type of deck. That's for something that is going to explode a lot of creatures at the same time. I think this is a keep. I think a double Dismember hand versus Infect is just a keep, even if I can't cast my creatures yet. Like, this is a very real end game. And I have the way to get out of the early game. So let's Cavern and pass. I'll probably be pretty aggressive about dismembering here. Okay, there is a knight. I don't have true black for this yet, which is a thing. I think it's fine. Again, I'm valuing these dismembers so incredibly highly. Let's do our chip damage. And we're chilling, huh? Okay. I have not hit my third land drop to deploy these, or this for that matter. Opponent might be going for some sort of end of turn crop rotation line. Seems weird that they would keep a hand that does not deploy any initial creatures at all. I don't know what things look like on their side of the battlefield. Oh, that's brutal. End it. Fervent Champion, not looking too hot right now. But that can change very, very, very quickly. Okay, yeah, we are not making plays. Okay, there we go. So this goes on Knight. Now the question is, do I actually play this? End of turn crop rotation, get Ink Moth, try to kill you, is very scary. If this is a turn earlier, I think I go for this. But I think I'm going to continue to attack for 1. And if my opponent does not present a creature on their turn, I will play an end of their turn Werefox Bodyguard, because that will increase my damage output by 3 per turn cycle. And I'm fine with that. Wild. I am just going to play this. I don't think I can just use no mana forever. No need to use its trigger. My opponent is in theory discarding. Yeah, swords is fine. I do not care about that. Maybe my opponent's hand is just bad and I am playing too afraid here. I just don't know that things are getting better for me if I take no game actions here. Sure. The Lucille is stranded in my hand anyway. So, I'd like to read Berserk. At the beginning of the next end step, destroy that creature. If it attacked this turn. Oh no, my creature, it's destroyed. That's a shame concession. I don't know. My opponent mulliganed, I think, to 6 and kept 6. The London mulligan is very, very, very good, folks. Please use it. This does not have a meaningful amount of mana. So these 2 cards are playable in this 6-card hand. I think this is worse than a 5. I only have like 20 lands in my deck. I think this has to go back. Like, Dismember helps get me out of the initial turns, but I don't know that that hand is a winning hand. This is turn 4, remove a creature as my first relevant play. I would rather go to 4. Deck is not spitting up reasonable hands here. This will be our 4, and I think we begrudgingly keep. This is similar in power level to the 6-card hand. Yeah. I've got problems here. And I think I just do immediately dismember for the cost of a lava axe to my face. It's very awkward if my opponent can just play a second creature here, which they did. Kind of. I'm going to go ahead and pass the turn. This is a weird one, because crop rotation exists, and so does Legolas's quick reflexes. I can sit on this and never get blown out, but if I sit on it, it gives my opponent more of a chance to draw into interaction with this, or something like a blighted agent that they could just cast. I'm going to try to take it out. I don't think this works a lot of the time. It's very high upside when it does work. Yep. No, I accept that. I think I'm behind enough after the multiple mulligans that I just risk it. There's an Embiggen. This is 6 points of infect. I am dead if my opponent has an Invigorate on top of this, which they do not, but I don't have another spell here, so I am at the mercy of my opponent's deck. I imagine that they will kill me this turn. All right, there's a new land drop. All right, so we're going to do the whole quick reflexes thing again. That's fine. I'm dead to another pump spell, and there it is. I will concede. We just don't have enough interaction for a matchup this fast that is creature-based. The fact that the infect creatures happen to ignore making our creatures indestructible is pretty rough. Alright, we have gotten paired against Cyrus, who is going to be on Storm. I think I am a dog to this deck. I think I lose game 1 close to 100% of the time. I am going to keep this hand. There is some small world where I can Wasteland Cyrus twice and produce a fast enough aggro hand to defeat him before he combos off. But the fact that both things are Wasteland here means that Cyrus can just fetch around it. Cyrus says, I don't know what one spell in your hand does. I told him that he honestly doesn't need to. I'm gonna tick this up. And I'm chilling. I'm not sure if this is the correct take. Like, this does have lifelink and this loots. I don't think it matters. I think being attacked for 3 with maybe 1 turn of lifelink is less scary than this, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, I get Thought Seized again. Not that big of a deal. This game is fully like, do I cobble together enough points of aggro to kill Cyrus? And for that to happen, he probably has to stumble. Alright. It begins. This is 4 mana. Beseech-based lines are on now. There is the Beseech sacrificing the Chrome Mox, sacrificing an LED, getting a Gaia's Will. And now Cyrus can just go ahead and replay all of this stuff and then Beseech for a Tendrils. Yeah. Okay, so Storm is 8. Fetch, 2, 3, 4 mana, Beseech, sacrifice LED, Tendrils. Pretty easy. There's the Beseech, and there's the Tendrils. I will concede. Again, we never win that game 1. It's just so unlikely. Null Rod's in, Ley Line's in. These things are questionable. They might end up making the deck. Because I need Jitte out, Lucille out, Aether Vials out, question mark. I can just, like, get rid of the 4-drops, maybe. Like, get rid of the 4-drops and 1 Aether Vial or something like that. Werefox Bodyguard is not exactly good either. Get rid of 2 of those for these. This has none of my sideboard cards, so I'm not interested in it. This has 2 of my sideboard cards, so I am interested in it. Which one of these goes back? Probably the Fox. Start with a Ley Line in play. Cavern. Knight. Play red card. Curse myself for not playing an Ancient Tomb deck. Attack for 1. Hope Cyrus does not have a Thoughtseize or Duress effect. Hell yeah. That's so important that we dodged that bullet. I guess it could still happen off a Lotus Petal. Okay, no shuffle off that. Aim Knight. Drop the Rod. Attack for 1. I've got the graveyard off. I have artifacts off. This is a pretty good spot for me. And I can start scaling this up. We're probably putting a game win on the board here. Not 100% of the time. Inti. Inti lets me loot into more hate. I think I'm into that. Oh, right. I do just get to do this turn. Turn off auto yield. Discard this knight. Alright. There. Okay. Get a Deuter. I can play this until my next end step. Got it. And then I'll pass the turn. And Cyrus gets a chance to kind of cantrip out of this. This damage is going to accelerate pretty quickly. I don't know if it accelerates quickly enough. Like, at some point, I do risk just losing to a pile of rituals. Beseech Chains can be real. I guess Cabal Ritual is much less good right now. Alright, what are we doing, Cyrus? Just sculpting. That's fine. So now there's a weird pause. I wonder if there's some minor piece of interaction that could be played. I'm gonna loot away this land when I attack. Send them. You get big. I discard a card. You get bigger? I don't think it matters too much which one I make bigger. Another Inti. Not the best hits here. Cyrus is at 8. I'll drop another creature. So what? This is 3, 6, 7, 8, and some change next turn. All right, Cyrus. This is your window to kill me. Otherwise, I force a game 3. All right, Cyrus went into the tank for a while, so I assume I'm dead. That's 3 rituals, 6 total mana. Let's see where this is going. So Beseech, sacrificing LED. Graveyard's off. I can't really solve the puzzle without knowing what the other 2 cards here are. 5 total mana. Storm count of 5. It'll be 6 after the Beseech cast. Another Dark Ritual. Is this just going to be goblins? Burning Wish. Tendrils is not currently lethal. Grape Shot. Okay. Oh, I see. So this is going to be Grape Shot my face into Tendrils. That'll do. That's a neat line. GG's. All right, let's see how an Aether Vial hand feels. So, like, we can play Vial, Vial this in, Vial this in, Vial this in as a 1-2-3 curve while also playing out a second Aether Vial. And we'll just see if this ends up being good. There's another 1-drop to potentially put in. So we don't currently know whether my opponent is on fair or unfair Underground Sea. It used to be, when I saw Underground Sea, my mind levitated immediately towards combo. Because like Ant, Doomsday, and lists of that general nature were all Underground Sea decks. But now, like, could be Control with Bug, can be a scam deck of some kind. Cephalid Breakfast? Question mark? Probably Cephalid Breakfast. My Werefox Bodyguard can potentially get rid of a Cauldra or the Germ Token rather, if that's what's about to happen. Yep. So, yes. Okay. So, land drop, Aether Vial, cast a Menace creature. You may daze if you would like. No? Alright. I'll put in a second one. Oh, these don't have haste. Card sucks. Yeah, so I can wait on the second one until end step and not telegraph it. So I get punched in the mouth for 5, probably twice before I answer this. And then we just kind of go from there. The Werefox Bodyguard, I don't think I can cast. Like, I think that is so critical to me winning the game that even if I draw the land, I just can't cast it this turn. So I will chip in for 2 points of damage. I don't really have a way to use my mana this turn, unfortunately. If the Stoneforge attacks in, I can ambush it, which is cool. 4th mana from my opponent. Yuko is fine. Yep. I go to 9 here. And then I've got some stuff. I don't need to worry about a Containment Priest or anything in game 1. If this was a post-sideboard game, I'd activate the Vial on 1 first. Kind of do a stifle check sort of thing. I don't think that's necessary in this spot. Yes. Indestructible is mostly cool. Runs into some issues here. My opponent has a 3/3 if they activate this. And double block. Awkwardly, I think my attacks just aren't good this turn. I think I have to chill. It's fine another turn down the line because, like, Knight Exemplar and what is this, Kins, Bale, Cavalier get involved. And then, like, combat is reasonable for me again. I also have to potentially respect a game 1 Pithing Needle. I'm going to go ahead and activate this now and get rid of this non-fox creature. But these Urza Saga tokens are just innately larger than my creatures. So they're about to be 5/5s plus the Shuko activation as well. Or 2 Shukos. Sure. That's fine. Like, I can pretty Yes. I can pretty comfortably do a chump block this turn. My creatures are about to be indestructible. So let's take 1 chump. So the ring now tempts me. Can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Let's do that here. Does turn this legendary as well, just in case it ends up being relevant for something like a Caracas. Alright, do I want this and this in play this turn? I think so. So let's tick both up. So I, in theory, want 2 blockers back, other than Knight Exemplar, which can be Werefox Bodyguard and the Cavalier. Thinking about whether or not I'm attacking with the Lancer. My opponent does double block it. I can kill the Stoneforge Mystic. So that seems fine. Yeah. No blocks. I could, at this point, put one of these in. I don't think I'm doing that, though. I think the indestructible just matters a lot. Alright. Now these do have double strike, and this one in particular is cute with that, because it gets to scale up immediately before the regular damage, which is nice. Can this be used to activate an ability? No, only to cast. Alright. Good stuff. Bowmasters? What are we doing with that mana? Okay, hot damn. We stabilize the board, and that's the first time we actually see the Knight synergies popping off. So, sideboarding against Cephalid Breakfast is really hard, because you have to respect a fair Urza Saga beatdown plan, a Stoneforge Mystic Cauldra plan, and the traditional combo you off plan all at the same time. And when you are playing a weaker deck, you often can't do that. I don't have the flexible, like, Thought Seizes and Force of Wills and Prismatic Endings and things of that nature. So I have to take very targeted shots in specific directions if I want to mess with my opponent's stuff. And that means, like, basically any of these cards would be reasonable things to board in, and I just have to make a plan. I don't love Null Rod. It shuts off my Aether Vials, and my opponent can still combo off with Nomads in core. I don't think I'm bringing that in. I think I keep my equipment. I think in theory, I cut my 4-drops to always leave Vial on 4. That makes Werefox Bodyguard more reliable as a removal spell. Probably cut some number of Lancers. Do something that looks like this. Gives me some flexibility versus Urza Saga tokens and Shuko, and then I just kind of ignore Stoneforge. That's a plan. I think there's a lot of ways to approach sideboarding here. You can't have your cake and eat it too when you are playing a lower power deck versus Cephalid Breakfast. You just kind of have to pick a direction for your game, accept that you are going to have holes. How is this hand? Reasonable versus fair stuff, unplayable versus unfair stuff. I think I'm going to keep the 7 and just rely on the top of my deck to produce a little bit more either interaction or gas. Either one of those things is fine. Under's fine. No shuffle. I'm going to just start on the swamp. The Force of Will is fine. We got a step through for that, which I'm actually pretty jazzed about. Alright. This feels like Stoneforge Mystic to me. And I didn't board in the Dismembers. Okay, it is Stoneforge. So this is a whatever happens happens situation. Name Knight. I'll flash this in at the end of my opponent's turn. Probably follow it up with either this or this. I'm not too worried about dying to the Cauldra right now. is a little surprising, as you know, it is a Caldra. Notably here, Caldra's first strike means that just using this as a death touch removal spell is not viable. 15. I would love to draw Cavern of Souls specifically, like Cavern of Souls to force this through on this germ would be a pretty big deal. Inti. So do I want to take another hit or 5 to attempt to bait out a counterspell and then play Werefox Bodyguard the following turn? I think so. Like, I think I drop an Exsanguinator Cavalry here. My opponent paused at a weird time, which kind of makes me think they have a daze. Okay, it was Force of Will. Slightly wrong read. I think I am willing to trade 3 damage for 1 damage. And now we are hoping Werefox Bodyguard stabilizes me this game. That gets a Shuko. Oh, that gets a Jitte. Fuck, okay, that's horrifying. At least it's probably not getting equipped immediately. This first strike, that's really good. I think I just do this now before my opponent has another chance to draw a card. This does cost me a life for the white mana. Get out Germ. Is this an attack? I'm about to make this indestructible, so I think no. So my opponent has end of turn put in Jitte as a thing. White, white, 1, red, black. Alright. Ow. Ow. Yes. I'm just kind of checking to make sure everything resolves before I decide whether or not I am attacking. So I have a first striker and a secondary creature back. I think I'm going in. Do I want to discard this creature? I think no. I think this is an above average card. Especially since I am probably... I don't know, maybe I do. Okay, well... League started out rough. We are at least on the board now. Alright, opening hand here is probably too light on mana to be keepable, unfortunately. This is fine. Keep this, getting rid of that. So this is turn 1 Fervent Champion. Turn 2, either Jitte equip immediately or Inti, depending on what I think is going to be better. Send it. Little death by 1,000 cuts here. Basic swamp. Alright, so my opponent gets to pick the direction for my hand. I assume I lose one of these 2 cards, and it's just a matter of which one. And my hand is just funneled in the other direction. I lost the Inti. That's fine. I'm just going to go ahead and play this. And drop Jitte. Equip Jitte. And now it's almost like we're doing something unfair with Fervent Champion. For probably the first time this league. And we'll just have to get a feel for what my opponent is doing. To see how good some of this stuff is. I'm just going to go ahead and bash in and keep all my Jitte counters around for right now. I don't know what I'm playing against yet. It is possible that this is a mistake and I need to lower my opponent's life total for some sort of ad nauseam type thing, but I don't know yet. Okay. Maybe Grixis control. Well, this is uncounterable, so I don't think I need to tell you that this is going to fucking hurt. Alright, Grixis control. Orcish Bowmasters is fine. You can kill that. Oh, actually. Well, yeah, no. Small mistake on my end. This one, I guess. No, I guess it's not a mistake. It ends up in the same place. So remove a counter. Remove a counter. Go to combat. Declare attackers. After no blocks. Pump. Pump. There's 5 damage. I get Jitte counters. 5. 6, 7. 8, 9. Hot damn. Maybe we should have just put more Jetes in the deck. I am playing against what is presumably a Grixis control deck list. I don't know that I am going to sideboard any cards. We're going to see how badly it hurts to have a decent number of X1 creatures. Like, I could do something like sub one of these for just a Knight of Autumn, which can grow outside of Bowmaster range. I think I'm okay doing that. I don't really know that I want Dismembers. My opponent isn't going to have too many creatures at the end of the day. So this is Champion into Inti, which I think makes for a keepable hand. No immediate thoughtseize. Ooh. Yeah, let's play that. Assuming this works on turn 2, I can vial this in and then play Uncounterable Inti, and that ends up being pretty good. Yeah, you can cycle. That's fine. Finds an Underground Sea, which is not a basic, but I am not really intending on using Wasteland for its traditional purpose. Baleful Strix, that's fine. Let's tick this up. Okay. Now maybe I am. Alright. I've changed my mind. A little awkward to not immediately scale this up. Bowmasters is a thing. Yeah, I think I'm just going to play this one this turn. And not expose this to Bowmasters for a single point of damage. I'm trying to hold this cavern for a little while. That way if my opponent randomly has Wasteland, I don't lose it in the early game when I think it is so important. Yeah, so there's the Bowmasters. That's fine. This was all expected. The ring tempts me. I don't have a valid target in play, but that's fine. So this is my cavern turn. And do this. Or maybe I save the cavern for yet another turn and just play Tournament Grounds. Nah, it's fine. Knight. Cast this. Tap. Yes. Put in Inti. Send it in. I think I'm just going to junk this. I think that is worth a +1/+1 counter. We found another Inti. That's not what I'm looking for. My opponent takes the damage, and I'll call it a turn. And we'll see where this goes. Pretty bad against a Culligan's command right now. It's like 2 damage plus destroy artifact is so strong. Well, that's not quite a Culligan's command, but it's pretty damn gross. It definitely punishes me for discarding the land. Oh. Sure. I'm okay with this exchange. Unless, like, Hydroblast is about to happen. Alright. Opponent's at 13. As much as I want to take my opponent off of mana, I believe that I need to develop my own board. I wish this was the land that I discarded. But I think keeping the theoretical Vile Curve of Werefox Bodyguard into Cavalier is strong. So this makes me think my opponent has another Bowmasters. I think I will not block and just take the damage. Because if I get Werefox, if I get another land for Werefox Bodyguard, things become more interesting. Oh, I hate it. Hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it, hate it. That's fine. Children's Edict. I think I'm getting rid of this and keeping both of these so they can buff each other. It's weird that I'm keeping the less expensive card, but it seems good versus my opponent's board of X1 blockers. I've got 5 damage in play. Theoretical 3-turn clock. Yeah, I've got first strike, so like I'm good with that. Now this can get pinged by a Bowmaster on my opponent's turn. And I probably don't get to cast any other spells this game, so like whatever happens, happens. Let's force some mana out pre-combat. Petty Theft is fine. Yeah, this is the sort of thing for why I did this pre-combat. I still get the chance to replay, or, you know, a chance to make my blocks better. Do you have a Bowmaster too? A Bowmaster on top of that would be rough. Yep. But now this doesn't get to attack anymore. And my opponent is now the beatdown. They get to play Brazen Borrower at end of turn, while probably attacking me for 3. They might leave back the 2/2. I would attack for 3. They agree. You want to attack for 3. So you can play Brazen Borrower, and then everything is a, 2-turn clock. All right, so we're on Knight. I hold this back so I can block a Bowmaster. My position's real bad, though. And it just gets worse if my opponent plays more cards. Okay. We're going for a conservative attack. That's fine. I'll take the extra time. Doing this to gain 1? I don't think so. I think I'm just going to hold back. And if my opponent goes for some sort of kill, maybe I use this to gain 3 life in a meaningful way. Maybe that bridges me to Werefox Bodyguard. Nice, yeah. This is good. I get to give something Death Touch and Lifelink. So do I want to do it on the first striker and gain 1? Or do I want to leave this around? I'm essentially taking 4 damage this turn. Going to 4. I think I would like to gain the larger amount of life. Yeah, so the downside of this play is that if my opponent has a single removal spell, if I put it here, I can always trade with this token. And if I do this, sometimes this happens. I think regardless, if my opponent has a piece of interaction, it is a disaster for me. Because I take 6, go to 2, and am still potentially dead. Oh, Snapcaster Bolt. Yeah. We were never winning that game then. GG. I don't really have the ability to board these out. I don't really think Dismembers are good. I don't think Leylines are good. I don't think Force of Despairs are good. This isn't good. Yeah, I think I am just kind of stuck not really having cards for the matchup. Reluctant Keep, I think, is where I'm at here. I'm just going to lead on this. And I hope that either Wasteland is relevant or I draw another reasonable play for next turn. Damn it. These Lancers are just not great. Hey, that is very strong though. Let's play this. Do this uncounterably. And crash in. That's poor timing. If you do that pre-combat, this trigger doesn't happen. So I sneak an extra point of damage in there that I should not have gotten. Hopefully we dodge Bowmasters this turn, as I would really like to start scaling this up, because once this scales up once, I'm out of Wasteland territory. Or sorry, I'm out of Orcish Bowmasters as a kill spell on it territory. So fingers crossed. That is unfortunately the Bowmasters off a non-wastelandable land as well. And I don't get to make this my Ring Bearer. I will, however, get to make it a double striker. And that won't be counterable. See what my opponent's got. Plague Engineer. That's really damn good. I can attack with this as a 1/2. As Menace, my opponent does some sort of block, and then I flash in Werefox Bodyguard and win combat. It's uncounterable, so it always works. Alternatively, I make it a 1/2 double striker. Yeah, I'm less sold on that. Okay. Send it. No blocks. I still think I'm going to flash this in and remove the Plague Engineer. But I'm going to think about it for a minute, because I can do that and get Vial ticking up. I don't know, maybe I just play this turn. Vial is not super relevant. Yeah, maybe I wait a turn. Thoughtseize kind of punishes, though. Bowmasters makes the blood tokens worse as well. I think I'm going to go ahead and just play this. And hopefully there's not a second Plague Engineer, which would be quite punishing. Ponder's fine. Cantrip away, friend. Oh, that's a shuffle. I guess that's good news for me. I hate that Plague Engineer puts this in the range of an Orcish Bowmaster's ping. Maybe that's a reason to sequence differently, but if my opponent uses some other removal spell on this, and then this is safer and is in play for longer. That's good for me. That's not great. So I ship in with this, and I use Werefox Bodyguard somehow. Probably to take out a Plague Engineer, but we'll see. There's another Bowmasters. Really not great, because I want to loot away these vials. That's happening. Now I'm going to let my opponent do their blocks, and then try to mess with them with Werefox Bodyguard. No blocks. Sure. I think I am going to cast this and take out something and deal the extra point of damage. I can take out this Orc Army token forever. With 3 cards in hand, this is maybe not reliable. Tough game is tough. I'm going to take out the Plague Engineer and deal my extra point of damage and gain my extra life. Yep. Really funny because I have no way to draw cards in my entire deck other than these blood tokens. And so like Orcish Bowmasters, like the card drawing ability normally should not be good against me, but like having drawn multiple Aether Vials at this stage of the game, it's quite awkward. Exsanguinator Cavalry is out of the range of a lot of red removal like Lightning Bolt. That's good news. Got Menace making combat awkward, and my opponent is shuffling off of cantrips, so that is also good news. Snapcaster, Lightning Bolt, the Werefox Bodyguard. Sure. Not entirely sure that that has to happen at sorcery speed. That's fine. Like, I think that's a very good combat trick that you just gave up. The Wasteland and Aether Vial draws are brutal at this point. So I can attack with a 3-4, which doesn't cleanly trade with my opponent's stuff. I think I am at the point of considering letting my opponent draw 2 to try to get another creature. It sucks, but I'm not on the path to win this game, and maybe a double striker or something changes that meaningfully. Or like another Werefox Bodyguard. Yeah. And we draw Secluded Courtyard instead. I think I have to keep going. I just don't... I don't win if I don't take more game actions here. Thank you, deck. At this point, I have probably bricked off hard enough that I can't win anymore. I think I am just going to concede and call that GG's. All right, so where do we stand at the end of this league? Going into it, we knew we weren't playing something that was super competitive. And I think somewhere on that, 1 win or 2 wins in 5 rounds is what I would expect with this deck. If I were trying to describe why this deck is bad, I think the answer is that it does not play enough singularly powerful cards, right? So this is only powerful if you're pairing it with some piece of knight interaction. This is only powerful if you are really pairing it with one of the pieces of equipment. And I think you end up playing a very large number of cards below the format's average power level. So, like, of cards that I consider to be, like, format power level appropriate, Cavalier, I'd say, passes that test. I don't know that any other card in the deck does, ignoring the lands. Like, Aether Vial, I think, is a subpar card in Legacy now. Jitte is, barely pushing it. Like, maybe we can shove that one into this pile. But even if you want to make an argument for, like, maybe Vial and Werefox Bodyguard, I think this is a very large pile of things below average Legacy power level. And Legacy right now is defined by a lot of singularly powerful cards that can win games on their own. And we don't have that. I think the combination of playing a large number of weak cards alongside a relatively large number of creatures that just die to Orcish Bowmasters ultimately means that we have to give this one a thumbs down. And I think most of the times that we've explored leaning further into Exsanguinator Cavalry, the conclusion has been the juice is not worth the squeeze, and I kind of continue to think that. If you wanted to try this again, like if you want to make a knight creature type deck in Legacy, I would recommend pulling all of these. Can we make piles? All right, yeah, I would recommend pulling all of these, pulling all the Lucilles, pulling this 3-power thing. Maybe you do like a bunch of Fervent Champions, a bunch of Jintes, go up Inti, like Fervent Champion into Inti is still reasonable. Then, like maybe the mana base doesn't really support Thoughtseize. Like, one of the games that we had Lucille, we couldn't even cast it because of the single black pip, and I think we had like 4 lands, maybe 5 lands that game. But like the black pip is a little bit hard. So I would be into cutting these cards, and like if there weren't so many white pips, maybe you start looking at Ancient Tomb. Like Ancient Tomb helps power out Jitte, Ancient Tomb helps power out Exsanguinator Cavalry. Maybe you can rebuild the mana base to try and support Fourth Airlingas. I think that's tough though. I think this is one of those ideas that like maybe in a slightly lower power level format you can make this work, but you probably lose Jitte if you go to a different format. But these were some enjoyable games to play, I will say. I don't know that you have enough agency versus combo, but maybe you can build something for your FNM that takes use of some of what was in this video. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed, and if you end up wanting to buy any of these cards, check out Cool Stuff Inc. and use promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your next order, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!